It's 11 now. Today, former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell is scheduled to be sentenced. Prosecutors are calling for a lengthy prison sentence. The defense wants extensive community service instead.
As you well know by now, McDonnell is the first ever Virginia governor convicted of corruption. To look ahead to the proceedings today, we're joined now by the criminal defense attorney, Gary Gerstenfield. Appreciate you joining us here this morning. What do you anticipate hearing today?
It's going to be a long sentencing, I think. There's a lot to be said. The defense has worked very hard to put together a great presentation, so I think it'll be very interesting to watch and it'll be compelling. I think we're going to see a lot of people make some very heartfelt statements. So I think it'll be a very compelling story to watch.
Well, as we've heard, there's been more than 400 letters on behalf of the former governor's character. Is that going to make an impact on the judge? We've seen in many cases before where governors have been convicted of corruption charges where they've gone away in excess of 10 years.
Well, it helps. Everything helps. It's actually 430 letters.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It helps. The fact that people haven't turned their back, important people. Former Congressman Eric Cantor, for example, wrote a very compelling letter. Tim Kaine wrote a very, very compelling letter as well. His two daughters have written extremely heartfelt letters where basically they put blame with their mother. So those letters help. Will it make a huge difference in the end? If it shaves off a year or 2 years, I think it made a difference.
Now, you brought a list with you of some of the other people who have been convicted of corruption, what the time they spent, both locally here and then around the country, right? Rod Blagojevich was a huge celebrated case.
Sure.
He was actually caught on the phone talking about how he wanted to sell Barack Obama's seat. That helped to sort of sensationalize the case. This wasn't so cut and dry here in Virginia. Compare the two.
Absolutely. In Rod Blagojevich's case, what he did was, number one, he denied taking any responsibility. So we have the same thing here with a congressman, with our governor.
Right.
But the biggest difference is here it's gifts and toys, and there really wasn't anything getting back. Johnny Williams can't say he got anything out of it other than he got to go to he got to hang out at the mansion, he got to do some things, but he didn't certainly make any money from it. So it's not as salacious in terms of what some of the other politicians who've gotten caught up. But when you look at the years that they actually got, William Jefferson, 13 years, for example, Ray Nagin, 10 years, Phil Hamilton, 9 years. We look at our own local former county executive from Prince George's County, Jack Johnson, he got almost 7.5 years.
Right.
When you do, go back to the letters, though, that were sent on his behalf, the argument being that, his family has already suffered so much through this, the loss of a political career, if you will, just a family torn apart.
Absolutely.
Does that play into the judge's thinking, would you think?
It does, but remember now, he has sentencing guidelines that are between 10 and 13 years in prison. So he's got a lot of time according to guidelines. Now, he's 60 years old. Judge Spencer has a strong reputation for being somebody that tries to create the right kind of sentence. He certainly is not somebody that goes by guidelines. I do anticipate a lower than guideline sentence, perhaps significantly lower. But at the end of the day,
you think he's going?
This, I think, is what our former governor is going to be wearing.
Sad state of affairs for Virginia. Gary Gerstenfield, we appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure.